and we had a lot of investors, hedge fund investors. We talk about this stuff, but it could affect you, right? So 2% of investors is what's made up the market of buying. They bought 280,000 homes.
It's a lot of houses.
And they're buying them, and they're wanting people to rent, and they're buying them in zip codes where they're lower income to middle income wage earning families. And you guys have to be aware of this stuff. Like, look, I get it, because what happens? Let's say you own a house and you're renting it out, and then you have an investor like this come in and buy the house. The news that's come out is they're flipping that and turning around and renting it out to people. This has happened in Atlanta, Arizona. There's a couple other cities where they're flipping it and saying, okay, now we're going to collect higher rents. We're also going to have laws that really protect us as being a landlord. And so, look, I'm not saying that that's happening here in Las Vegas, but you have a lot of investors still buying homes in this market. And I feel that, when you have these renters and these people that are looking at this, they have no clue what's happening. Could this be a problem, though, moving forward? Because if you think it's 2% now, what if it's 20%? Like, how many people are really going to be paying somebody else at their mercy and changing all these things? Because look, this could be a problem. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think there's that problem again with like qualifying for a home. Not everybody can qualify. So if that's a default right there, if you can't qualify, then you have no choice but to rent, I guess, right?
Right. Well, I mean, there's options. If you have
you can live with your mom.
Well, no, if you can co-sign, have somebody that co-signs for you, right?
I wouldn't co-sign for my own family.
Well, no, I'm not saying everybody does, but some people, they have people that will, and so I wouldn't say that's a shot, but I do believe that that's the wave that's happening right now, not just in other states, but I think that that's a wave that is really the goal for a lot of investors here in Las Vegas, is for them to actually take over, right? And if they do, it's going to be hard to compete with an investor that has millions and billions of dollars versus just one single family home that is a family that's just trying to get in. And so that might be a risk that you might take in the future. We don't know that that's going to happen today, but it can. It's a goal. I know that.
They have rents in arrears, where you have some places like in Atlanta where they're I think it's 19% in arrears on rents payments, and they're coming in and they're buying these in bulk. And you look at this and you say, well, with their situation, 40% increase on rents. And then you have one of the investors. That's a huge deal. And then one of the investors, and there's like 5 of them, right? Hedge fund. They do it through securitization, right? Pulling money and the cash flow. They're selling it to investors on the cash flow. But you got to look at the one of them expanded like 27% on their portfolio just by buying these properties and then renting them out. And what does that do? Really, it really puts people in a position where now you have a bulk of these owners that are hedge fund investors and investors in general, just renting these properties. I think it could be a problem. I think as you see hedge fund investors go, you're going to see these people having issues. I mean, what do you think about renters in this Las Vegas market? Because I have seen it starting to decline a little bit, but there's still some people scared out there that rents are going to keep going up. I mean,
I have property managers right now. Actually, I visit a few, and they are increasing rents. And if you cannot, and they also said this was a statement they made, that they had to actually kick people out that were not willing to pay the increase. So, because they're not really, they're not governed by anybody. So they can increase rent. I mean, as much as they want. There's nothing that is actually stating that, hey, you can only increase by this much. They could do whatever, really. Now, listen, the contract, it's already stated. So if you are renting, make sure that...
Yeah, I mean, you just got to watch what you're doing. And I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, because a lot of times, where do these places target? They target the lower to middle income wage earning families. Yeah. They're going to have a hard time buying a house. And it just puts them in a position where now your rents are going up. Well, where are you going to save your money, right? What if you have to save to buy a house? That American dream that people think, oh, well, everybody's entitled to get a house. That's out the door for them, because you got to think, if my payment increased 40%, that's why you get a mortgage. And I'm not saying everybody should go buy a house, but if you can't afford to buy a house, they're coming in cash. Yeah. They're coming in an unfair advantage.
But you could always start off with something smaller. And I know when I bought my first home, it wasn't the home I wanted. It wasn't the area I wanted. It really wasn't. I hated that house. But I needed that home. I wasn't in a position to buy something that I really wanted in the area. So I started off in an area that I wasn't thrilled about.